Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I'm your host, Evan Abrams. I am filling in for Brendan Glasheen this week. Brendan is off getting married. Congratulations again at a destination wedding at beautiful Aqueduct Racetrack in Queens, New York. Everybody here at the Action Network wishes the happy couple all the best. But today, we've got your NFL best bets from the one and only Brandon Anderson for NFL Week 4. As a reminder, you can find all of Brandon's picks in the free award-winning Action Network app, including any futures, awards bets, with all of his articles, everything Brandon does in the Action Network app. But without further ado, let's get into some Week 4 best bets. Now, Brandon, your kitchen sink week last week went pretty darn well. Talk to me about it. What's up?
Yeah, it was a good week. We'll get into kitchen sink and some of the fallout from there. We were 14-4 on picks in the app last week, 12 units up almost, 88% ROI on the week. Thankfully, because Evan, it did not go so well the first couple of weeks here. So on the season now, on this podcast, we're about 5.2 units to the good, 16% ROI. We're going to have some swings. We take some long shots. We're going to have some ups and downs. So we'll get to some more long shots today. But kitchen sink, always a favorite of mine in week 3.
Yeah, and now we're going to get into some picks here. We're going to get your first pick, and obviously we're going to be talking about maybe a team that potentially doesn't have a win yet.
Yeah, so last week on here, we did the kitchen sink. We did the 0-2 teams. There was 9, and I kind of ranked them on from 1 to 9, who fits the trend best on the kitchen sink trends. I know your article is up each week with all the various trends and everything. Top 5 kitchen sink teams by how I rated them: Rams, Ravens, Giants, Colts, Panthers. All 5 of them covered, all 5 won outright on Sunday. It was a big Sunday for underdogs. It's been just a big year for underdogs. Sunday alone, kitchen sink teams were 6-1 against the spread and straight up. We had double-digit wins by 6.5, 6.5, and 7.5 point underdogs. So that's a spot I'm kind of looking at here, because with all those teams winning, we are now down to only 3 teams left without a win, and we will be betting 2 of those teams today. And on the other side of things, only 5 teams left are undefeated. Chiefs, Bills, no surprises there. Seahawks, Vikings, Steelers, perhaps a bit more surprising. I have an article up at Action talking about what do the futures look like for those teams. Are you set for the playoffs at 3-0? Are we fading? How do we do that week to week? So today, as we're betting for week 4, definitely looking at some of these winless teams.
Well, number 1 on the list is a winless team. Tell me what you're looking at. It's a divisional matchup.
It is. I'm going to go to Jacksonville. I guess we're going to Houston on this one. Give me the Jaguars plus 6.5 in Houston. I think first and foremost, this is a great buy low spot for Jacksonville in a division game. And it's a good spot against what I think is an overrated Texans team. This is a team that I think got hyped up all offseason. We're all excited. They got the new additions. They bring in Mixon. They bring in Diggs. Lots of new defenders. They haven't really lived up to the hype so far. And first of all, division underdogs of 6.5 or more the first 5 weeks, 88, 58, and 2 against the spread, 60%. So just right there alone, whoever the teams are, we know early in the season to not get too confident in one of these big division favorites. Texans offense by DVOA. Now, DVOA only means so much 3 weeks in, but they're 26th in DVOA. They're bottom quarter of the league in running and passing. CJ Stroud, I talked about him in my quarterback rankings coming into the season. I think we've crowned him as this elite quarterback. So far, he has not lived up to it. He is 28th in success rate in the NFL, and a negative play rate from Patent Analytics. Negative play meaning sack, interception, or fumble. CJ Stroud is having a negative play 13.5% of his dropbacks. That ranks second to last in the NFL. Only Skylar Thompson has a worse rating in that one. It's not a name you want to be associated with. So CJ Stroud is where I'm looking on the matchup here. There's a really key matchup. We all watched the Jaguars on Monday night. We watched the Bills Monday night, right? The Jaguars were just kind of present. They were watching the Bills put up points on them. New defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen plays the number 1 most man coverage in the NFL. Over 50%, by far the most. Josh Allen on Monday night, as we saw, carves up man. He has, since 2020 on early downs, 42 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, versus man, 27 touchdowns, 29 interceptions against zone. Oops, probably should have played some zone against Josh Allen. They didn't. This is what Ryan Nielsen does. He plays man. All right? Well, now it's CJ Stroud. How's he do? CJ Stroud's the opposite. CJ Stroud, last year as a rookie against zone, number 1 in QBR, 89th percentile PFF grade. Against man, what he's facing here, 27th in QBR, 17th percentile PFF grade. So I think there's a matchup look that you like here. And then just looking at blind trends on teams in a spot like this. Road teams, after failing to cover by 24 or more, 62% against the spread. That's a Jacksonville spot. Winless teams against a not undefeated winning team from week 4 on, 62% ATS. Just trend after trend. And we've done on this podcast for a few weeks, these 6 and 6.5 point road underdogs, another spot here or there. So I am taking Jacksonville plus 6.5, but as I am wont to do, I got a little escalator for us. You know how we get in these upsets for the season. Trevor Lawrence, as you have pointed out repeatedly in your article, Evan, has not won a game since Thanksgiving. He is on an 8-game losing streak. However, 6 of the last 9 Jaguars wins last season were by double digits. And if you look in his career, 11 out of 20 Lawrence wins in his career by double digits. Average margin of victory is almost 12 points a game. And 6 of 9 Texans losses since the start of last season by double digits. Those 6 losses by an average of 19 points a game. So we're doing it. We got to do it. Sprinkle the Jaguars to win by 10. Minus 9.5 alternate line, plus 830. Nobody sees it coming. We're seeing it coming. We're going Jaguars, plus 6.5, but play for that 10-point win as well.
God, I love it. And the one thing I will say about the number before we move on to your next pick, Brandon, look ahead was 3.5. You're getting 6.5, and nothing really changed. So you're getting some free points in a divisional matchup.
Yep.
Can't hate it. All right, let's move on to the next pick. This one's an awesome game. It's an awesome game because you've got just a guy going back to a place that he can just take it all over. So it is Bengals, Panthers. What do you like here?
Yeah, it's the Andy Dalton revenge game, right? It's what we're all excited about seeing this week. And I think you talked a bit ago about the free points on the line. I think we're getting some free points on this line too. So I'm going to take the Bengals on the road, the 0-3 Bengals minus the 4. I think this line is a ridiculous overreaction to last week's results. We saw the Panthers. That wasn't a kitchen sink game. That was like a franchise kitchen sink game. That was we're on the brink against the woebegone Raiders. We got to solve it. And boy, they did. Give them credit. We talked about it on the Tuesday roundtable. I think that was a little bit more about the Raiders, personally. I think the Raiders are in big trouble. The Bengals, we watched Monday night, dropped to 0-3. They lose to Washington. They can't stop a nosebleed. Everyone leaves them for dead. All right, well, this game was minus 7.5 on Sunday morning. So we're really moving this a field goal now because we saw Andy Dalton getting the throwback machine. If you zoom out, look at this year compared to last year. Again, DVOA only so much this time of year, but it's kind of crazy. Last year, for the season, Panthers DVOA on offense, 31st, 25th on defense. So far this year, 31st on offense, 21st on defense. Same old Panthers. Bengals last year, 11th on offense, 23rd by defense. Guess what? The defense still isn't very good. 24th. The offense is 5th. They're 0-3, but a top 5 offense so far. And if you think of what you saw Monday night, there was plenty of Bengals scoring points also. The offense did their job. They just need to make some defensive stops. So, in this matchup, Bengals offense, I think, is going to score. The Panthers defense is not good. No Derek Brown. That alone, I think, is enough mismatch. But there's a chance the Andy Dalton thing was kind of like a one-time thing. There's no Adam Thielen. He's out now. And I think it's a spot for Lou Anarumo to get right maybe against Andy Dalton a little bit. Maybe it goes that way. Even if not, I think the Bengals score enough to get over the number here. Joe Burrow, 14-7-1 ATS after a loss, including 79% on the road there. So we like this spot for him. I know he's 0-3, but he did cover in that spot in Kansas City and probably should have got the win there. So give me the Bengals -4, just an overreaction here.
All right, for the second straight game, you're getting the best of the number, something we like to see. For this third pick, it kind of brought my interest a little bit because you don't all the time pick an anytime touchdown bet. But we're going to look in the afternoon slate here. Arizona, Washington, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so I'm going to play the rookie. I'm going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. to score an anytime touchdown, +125. And I like what you said because that's sort of the path that got me here. You're right. I don't play touchdowns too often. Usually I play them if I had to rule out my other versions of the game. So where I started here, as I look long and hard at the over. I almost took this on the hot read. I almost took the over on the look ahead. It's 50.5. 51's a key number. We're going to get a lot of points here. Like, the Commanders' defense is the worst in the league by DVOA. Cardinals' defense was my worst team defensively by my rankings coming into the season. Both offenses are top 10 so far right now. Jane Daniels is cooking. He's the Rookie of the Year favorite. Washington has scored every drive 2 straight games. Seems pretty good. I think we're going to get a lot of points here. 50 is a lot. It's really hard to go over on 50. It's just hard to get there. I looked at it, but sometimes there's other ways you can play an over. And guess what? If we're going to get to 50 points, some dudes are going to find the end zone. And I think Marvin Harrison is some dudes. This was what we did Monday night. I looked at that game, Washington-Cincinnati. I looked at an over. Would have been fine. We went way over the number on Monday. But I like Jamar Chase. Thought he was a good angle. And we've been playing stud receivers against Washington. Here are the numbers for the season. Jamar Chase, 6 catches, 118 yards, 2 scores. Got the job done. Malik Neighbors, the game before, 10 for 127. He found the end zone. Against Tampa, Mike Evans, 61 and 2 scores. Chris Godwin, 83 and a score. Those 4 dudes, like the 4 great receivers so far against Washington, are averaging 7.5 catches, 100 yards, and 1.5 touchdowns a game. So, Marvin Harrison Jr. Remember week 1, long ago? Oh, no, 1 catch, 4 yards. He's a bust. He can't even run down the field. Turns out, since then, 9 catches, 194 yards, 3 touchdowns. Turns out he's okay. He's got 3 of Arizona's 5 receiving touchdowns. This is a thing that he's been good at college as well. He was top 5 back-to-back years in the nation in receiving touchdowns. He actually had at least 1 score, 10 of his last 11 games in school, and now here he is, 2 of his last 3 in the NFL. So I like the touchdown plus 125. It's kind of my way of playing an over here, but without having to take on the leverage of the over. And he did have 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago. We saw that in the first quarter. He had 2 touchdowns 4 times his last year in school. We already saw Chase score twice on Washington. We saw Evans score twice on Washington. Got to do it. Plus 950. Sprinkle a little bit on the 2 touchdowns for Harrison, but most of the bet here on just the anytime touchdown. 1 time, find the end zone, Mr. Harrison, plus 125.
Well, if Washington doesn't punt again in this game, you should get enough possessions for it to work. The other one here is the total's up 5 points from the look ahead. So you're getting a good number on, like you said, a high scoring game. It was 45.5, now 50.5. So I like it. All right, let's go to your last pick here in the first section. Now, you were buying a wide receiver in your previous pick. In this one, you're looking at a game that's now down 3 points on the total, and you're looking to fade a wide receiver. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I'm going to take an under here on Garrett Wilson, a guy who I like quite a bit, a guy who I have a bet on, just a small play for Offensive Player of the Year. It's not looking great so far because the Jets are having a hard time offensively. So let me rewind a little bit. Jets, Broncos, totals below 40. I think we're looking at likely an ugly game. Both teams tend to be run heavy. I wish the Jets would figure out how to let their guy Aaron Rodgers throw the ball, but they just love to hand the ball off on 1st and 2nd down. I think this is one of those games where it's like, I thought we were just ending the 4th quarter here on Red Zone, but this game's already wrapping up. The Jets-Broncos is done, 20-17, right? Like something like that. So I do like the Jets here enough. I don't need the points. So I was like, okay, what's the script here? Well, the Jets offensively, so far as we've watched them, they're playing all right. I think Aaron Rodgers looks pretty good personally. The problem that they have is Mike Williams has not been healthy, and they just don't have a lot of weapons. They got Garrett Wilson, and then we got Allen Lazard, or we got like whatever one of Aaron Rodgers' friends he has around to throw the ball to. Well, against Denver in particular, I think that could be a problem. Denver's got Patrick Surtain, who is one of the best cornerbacks in the league and one of the few that still shadows opponents. So far, he's faced off against these 3 guys, and here's the results. DK Metcalf, with Surtain on him, 3 catches, 29 yards, only 4 targets even. George Pickens, next game, 2 catches, 29 yards, 4 targets. Mike Evans, 2 catches, 17 yards on 3 targets. They're not even getting targeted. They're getting like a 1 target per quarter. On average, those 3 guys are 2.3 catches for 25 yards. So I am taking Garrett Wilson on the under. I don't know if I said this at the top. That's my fault. Garrett Wilson under 56.5 receiving yards. And it seems like a low number. I just think it's not quite low enough. If you look at Wilson so far, he does have 2 games at 57 and 60. He has a 33. We're averaging 50 yards a game. he's getting some of the target looks, but he's also not getting big catches. He only has 4 double-digit yard catches for the season, only 1 more than 16. That was a 26-yarder. So I think you probably need volume to hit an over here. You probably need maybe 6, 7, 8 catches. He's not really been getting that, and Surtain has not been allowing that either. So if I'm Denver, I think that I can keep this thing close. I can stick Surtain on Garrett Wilson, have him follow around the field, force the Jets to beat me with Alan Lazard and Conklin and whatever other dudes they've found out there. I think they will. I like the Jets in a teaser spot this week, but I like Garrett Wilson to go under the 56.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, total below 40 in the middle of some tough matchups. Just went through New England. Now you've got Denver. Then you have Minnesota in the Blitz next week. So completely understood, like the pick. Let's talk some long shots now. So you're going to give me 3 picks. We'll go one by one here. These have a little bit of juice to them, a little bit of, skin in the game. So first one here, you're going to be talking about Sunday Night Football. Talk to me what you like in this Ravens-Bills game.
Yeah, I love this game. So here, let me give you the pick, and then I'll lay out the case for us. This is a same game parlay, and you're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to look on like the alternate lines at your book. We're going to do a first half, second half, same game parlay. So I want the Ravens in the first half. I'm taking an alternate line. Ravens minus 3.5. So Baltimore gets up, but then I want the Bills minus the same 3.5 in the second half. I'm going to put those two together. It's a plus 425. So here's the case. This game is awesome. This game is going to be so much fun. Like the whole waiting all day for Sunday night is actually this game. This is the one that we're doing waiting all day for. These are number 1 and number 2 in offensive DVOA. Bills are first, Ravens second. They're both top 10 on defense. We actually haven't really gotten to see much Lamar against Josh at their current levels. We only really have one meeting with them playing like MVP type guys. I will say I looked a lot at rushing numbers here. I like rushing overs for both quarterbacks in a big game. Their coaches tend to like take the gloves off and just go for the kill. So I like a Lamar over 9.5 attempts. I like the script for the game narrative wise, and that's where I'm looking at this. I don't want to predict a winner here. I'm not really sure who wins this game, to be honest, but here's what I do know, and I know you know this, Evan. Lamar Jackson in the first half, 65% against the spread for his career. It's been a little more up and down more recently, but 2 out of 3 for a career, pretty good. Josh Allen in the second half, exact same thing, 65% ATS for him in his career. So what do we see with Baltimore every week when they watch? They come out, they look good, they build a lead, and then they hold on for dear life and try to get over the line, and sometimes don't, like the Raiders at the end of the game. So that's the narrative. We're building the narrative play is a Ravens lead early, minus 3.5 in the first half. So I got to be up by 4, maybe get a touchdown, get Justin Tucker out of here. No field goals anymore. Just get in the end zone, get Derrick Henry in there or something. And then here's where I think this matters. For a lot of teams, if you get up a bunch, they're going to stay up a bunch. And now I don't necessarily want the other team in the second half. I think actually books are treating this as negative correlation. I think for this game it's positive correlation. If the Ravens get up, I want the Bills. I think the Bills are going to keep this game close. In fact, I think the Bills are a great teaser leg this week. They're plus 2.5. Tease that to 8.5. The Bills have not lost by more than 1 score in 44 regular season games. The last time they did it, it involved Frank Reich and Carson Wentz on the Indianapolis Colts. That's how long ago. So I think the Bills keep it close. Ravens take a lead, as they do. The Bills push back in the second half, as they do. I don't really care what happens after that. Just keep it close and do your thing. Bet the narrative. Ravens first half, Bills second half, both minus 3.5, plus 425 on the same game parlay.
I was going to say, this is King first half versus King second half. This is a complete narrative play. All narrative street. Everything stays straight. You'll win your bet. Congratulations. All right. Next one, divisional matchup this week. Now you've got King of the Underdogs, who's a favorite. So you've got the Packers at home favorites. What do you like in that one?
So look, I'm a Vikings fan, and I struggle picking Vikings games, but I stared at this one all week. The line just feels off to me. I just think that the Packers are the better team. We all thought so a month ago, and now it's minus 2.5, basically calling this a coin flip game, factoring in home field. So I couldn't get there in the minus 2.5. It's 3 at some books now. I definitely don't want the key number. So if I'm there and I like a team, I look for an alternate angle. So here's the angle. I'm going to take the Packers, but I'm going to betray my own team. I'm going to take the Packers minus 9.5. Packers to win by double digits. It's plus 300. So here's the case. They are Green Bay number 3 in offensive DVOA, despite 2 of 3 games with Malik Willis, who we did not think was a quarterback 2 weeks ago. One game playing on an ice rink in Brazil. They're still that good. They're top 7 rushing and passing. And while that happened, Jeff Hafley, the new defensive coordinator, quietly coming around there. They are top 12 defensively as well. Just had a really nice game there for the Vikings. Obviously, number 1 defense. They've been awesome so far, but they've been awesome against Daniel Jones and then back-to-back Shanahan offenses, which are more creative, aggressive play callers like Mike McDonald, like Brian Flores. Those are the guys having successes, especially 2 weeks in a row. Get a lot of practice in against that style of offense. Jordan Love, I think he's back for this game. Obviously, I do not want this pick if Love ends up not playing. But Jordan Love last season ranked number 2 against the blitz on PFF grades. He had 12 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Jordan Love, I am rating as an elite quarterback. And he also is playing behind what has been the number 2 pass block in the NFL so far from PFF. So if you bring all the pressure and you don't get there, or you get close, but you have an elite quarterback that can pick you apart, not a system that's supposed to just take what's there, suddenly that can go very poorly and it can go the other way in a hurry. I think the Packers the last 2 weeks had the biggest 2 weeks of the season. We said that Sunday night. The Vikings, too, have not played from behind all season. That's good, right? That's great. We want you. If you don't play from behind all season, you're going to win a lot of games, it turns out. Last week, we saw with the Saints what happens when you're a front runner but aren't front running anymore. It did not go well. They were off script. It didn't go well for Derek Carr. We haven't seen yet what happens when Minnesota plays a close game. What happens when Sam Darnold is behind and has to throw from him? He's not been good outdoors in his career. What happens to Brian Flores when he can't just blitz pass rushers all game because you're playing an elite quarterback that can handle it, or because you're behind right now and they might want to run the ball or that sort of thing. So I think Minnesota, the belief in this team, because they haven't trailed yet, like we haven't seen the real version of the Vikings. We need to see them in a game like this. And then here's where I get to the alt line. And I got a couple other kind of various ways to play Green Bay here. So these teams tend to split. The last 4 years, obviously you play in the division twice a year. They split the series all 4 years. But 5 games in a row are double-digit games between these teams. It's a close series, but the games haven't been close. Usually one team gets ahead and wins relatively easily. So if I'm going to play, make it worthwhile. Packers double digits plus 300. If you like a side here and you want to do the futures route, Packers are plus 340 in the division. They win this game with those Malik Willis wins. They're suddenly looking pretty good in the division. Obviously, the Lions are in play there as well. But then one other future, I played this in the app this week, so hopefully you tailed. I think Jordan Love MVP is still available. I think Malik Willis with the assist got a couple wins. QB wins are a thing. You got to win the game. He got the Packers some wins. Jordan Love is 60-1 to win MVP. I think who's going to remember that September he didn't play games? We're going to remember the moments that are coming up still. I think Love still has a shot in MVP race that looks like Allen and not a lot of other guys so far. So I'm going to sprinkle some of those features. I'm going to sprinkle Packers minus 9.5 plus 300. Just kind of give me a few different ways to see what happens here. If the Packers really look as good as they are, I think the Packers are a quiet Super Bowl contender right now.
Yeah, if Love doesn't miss any more games and the Packers end the season on a really hot streak and do really well, we'll have no memory of the fact that Malik Willis was in these 2 starts. We'll just give them to Love and have, the Packers with a great record. All right, we've got one more long shot for you. This is longer than the other one. We gave you a 4-1. We gave you a 3-1. Then you told you 60-1. Now we got something a little bit longer than that. What do you got?
Yeah, just real quick. Darius Robinson for Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's 80-1 out there at one book. Hopefully you followed in the app. We got this at 150-1 there. Make sure that you get the pro subscription, get those notifications on. The case is he's a first-round pass rusher. That fits the bill. This is a wide open race. No rookie has more than 1 sack or interception except a 26-year-old rookie from the Birmingham Stallions in the UFL. So I can't tell you much about Darius Robinson except the Cardinals badly need dudes to pass rush. B.J. Ojulari is out. Justin Jones is out. They need guys. Why is Robinson's odds so low? He hasn't played yet. He's eligible to come off of IR next week. I think these odds shift that way. Just take a sprinkle, see about a guy that can fit the profile here long term.
Yeah, I think what Brandon's telling you is just take a few stabs right now. So anyone in that
Exactly.
like high zone, someone's going to get a bunch of sacks soon and probably take a lead. So throw a few stabs out there before the weekend. All right, look ahead line. We're looking to week 5, but talk to me about what your look ahead was for week 4 and what we can be betting right now looking ahead.
Yeah, so week 4 we did the under. We did another Mike Tomlin road under Steelers Colts. So hopefully we get that under this week. Another one of those ugly Steelers games. For next week, I have to do it to my Vikings. I'm going to pick against my Vikings twice on the same podcast, and I'm going with the Jets money line. It's our first international game in London Sunday morning. Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings. Boy, don't I know watching that one. Jets money line -104. So again, look ahead is about line movement. That's the play here. The Jets are big favorites home against the Broncos. Bo Nix on the road. You like the Jets to take care of business there. The Vikings are road underdogs. They haven't trailed yet. What's it look like when they're not front runners? What if they lose that Packers game? I think this line effectively prices a coin flip right now. The Jets are favored or underdogs, depending on the book you look at, by like a point either way. I think they end up favorites. I think that's the direction this line is going to move based on the games we're going to see this weekend. So Aaron Rodgers, 14-7 straight up against the Vikings as a favorite in his career. International games. Throw the Jaguars out. They're home in London, right? They're their own thing. Outside of those, favorites just win. 24-9 against the spread. Favorites in international games, not counting the Jaguars, including they've won 10 of their last 11. Aaron Rodgers looks pretty good. He shook off the rust. I think the Jets quietly are kind of shaping their defense up compared to what looked awful the first week. Minnesota's offense, I think, is the clear weak link of the 4 units in this game. And so I'm just going to take the money line. I think we're basically getting a coin flip here that will end up not priced as a coin flip by the time we get there. So getting ahead of where I think the line moves, Jets -104 on the money line. Let's play international ball Sunday morning.
Well, after the Garrett Wilson struggles against the Broncos this weekend, they'll rebound and look great against the Vikings.
That's right.
All right, Brandon, thank you. That's going to do it here for the Action Network podcast for our week 4 best bets in the NFL episode. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app to see more from Brandon Anderson and all of our Action Network contributors. Plus, you can track your own picks. Check out the Action Network Discord server to chop it up with experts and fellow gamblers during these games. There is a link in the description of this podcast. Be sure to check out our week 4 betting preview episode with Stuckey and Raybon out now, and we will be back next week with more best bets. Thank you for listening, and good luck with all your bets this weekend. Enjoy.